the 18-seat edge eventually to the NDA. Pro-incumbency, anti-incumbency. Gaurav Sawant, take it away. Give us a sense to our viewers of the history of Bihar.
So Rajdeep, Bihar has had a history, and let's take it from pre-independence, or for the sake of this conversation, three phases from 1950 to 77, which was seen as the Congress era, 1990 to 2005, which was seen as Lalu era, and 2005 onwards, which was seen as the Nitish Kumar era. When you talk about 1950 to 77, Shri Krishna Singh, actually from 1946 onwards, Shri Krishna Singh, the second longest serving chief minister then of Bihar, almost 15 years, seen as the architect of modern Bihar. Then the Ram Manohar Lohia agitation, 67-68, that's the era that saw a little change that was happening in Bihar, the era of change. Karpuri Thakur became the chief minister. Then, of course, again, you had the emergency, post-emergency. You had a number of chief ministers who were coming and going. So there was a period of pro-incumbency. Then there was a period of flux in Bihar, a number of chief ministers coming and going. Let me then take you to the Lalu Prasad Yadav era, from 1990 to 2005. 7 long years, Lalu Yadav, he was chief minister till the time he was charge sheeted in the fodder scam case. Then for 8 long years, practically 8 years, Rabri Devi was the chief minister. Very briefly, you had an era when Nitish Kumar came in, but it was almost 15 years of Lalu Raj till 2005 when Nitish Kumar came in. And how? Look at the election of 2010, that 2010 election that was seen as an absolute game changer at that time in Bihar. The BJP and JDU had 206 seats on their own. And then post 2010, whoever Nitish Kumar was with was the government in power. If he was with RJD, it was RJD and Nitish. If it was with BJP, it was BJP and Nitish. But Nitish Kumar was chief minister. Brief period where Jitan Ram Manjhi came in. Now is the big question, Rajdeep. Is it Nitish Kumar who will be sworn in as chief minister for the 10th time in Bihar, breaking his own record and creating history again?
It's quite remarkable actually what Nitish Kumar has done. What we are now getting you immediately is also the caste breakdown as per the Axis My India poll. Maria, you've got the details of the caste breakdown, because remember, in Bihar we can discuss the Mahila factor, and we will discuss that, and the Yuva factor, the new MY as it's called. But ultimately, caste is an enduring reality. If these are the big numbers, Maria, 43% to the NDA and 41% to the Mahagathbandhan, where are the votes coming from? What is the kind of caste coalition that is working for the NDA and what is working for the Mahagathbandhan?
So if you look at the direct calculation, Rajdeep, 37% last time to 43% right now, as is being projected by Axis My India. Is this coming from the Paswans? If you look at it, their caste-wise breakdown is that Paswan's actual percentage is 5%, of which 64% have voted for the NDA as per Axis My India. And when we look at the crucial EBCs, they are 15%. And because we are looking at EBCs just as EBCs, they're not adding the Kurmis, the Telis. In that, 61% have voted for the NDA, which essentially means that not much of the EBC mobilization has happened outside the crucial, that aspect of it, which is the Mallas. So if you look at it, if you break down that further, Ravidas, however, have more a percentage, they have tilted towards the MGB. They are in all 5%, of which 36% have gone to the MGB, 32% to the NDA. SCs, again, if you look at it, 52% have gone towards the NDA. This is out of the total percentage of their population, which is 5%. So the number which I'm looking at is, again, the EBCs, which is 15% in all, 61% still going towards Nitish Kumar, and realizing that he is that person who can consolidate the EBCs minus the Mallas.
So you're saying about 60% plus of 15%. Total EBC is 26%. Am I correct? But you're not including here. No, if you add the Paswanda Muslims, it becomes 36. 26% EBCs, but you have taken essentially the you've taken out Kurmis, Koiris out of that.
Absolutely.
And therefore, Pradeep Gupta and Axis is looking at 15% and Kurmis, Koiris separately.
Yes,
and
Kurmis.
Kushwas.
Yes, so according to Pradeep Gupta's Axis My India, Kurmis, of 4% Kurmis, 68% have gone towards the NDA. Again, in that, if you look at Telis, an important constituency, there was this calculation that because of IP Gupta, there would be a shift towards the Mahagathbandhan. That doesn't seem to be happening. Teli in all have 3%, of which 61% is going towards the NDA.
Okay, so essentially we've got Muslims and Yadavs firmly with the MGB.
Yes.
MGB getting a section of the Dalit vote, but MGB not getting the extremely backward castes and other groups that they need in a way to try and go ahead of the NDA as per the poll. Remember, these are exit poll findings. These are not final findings. But I want reactions again to that, what you're just hearing on this caste breakdown. Are you surprised at all, Manisha Priyam? It seems more or less caste identities are holding. We can talk about Mahila, we'll talk about, but the caste identities as per the Axis My India poll are by and large holding. Small dents made in the Dalit vote, but not large enough for the Mahagathbandhan to topple the NDA at the moment.
So two things. In the caste alliance that you see from the caste prism, then that will tell you that the dominant Yadavs form the core bank of the MGB, and the Kurmi-led coalition of the EBCs. Remember, there's a leader for the EBCs, which are the Kurmis. That sustains the NDA on the other side. The only dent that happens is in the areas where the CPIML is strong, and there you see the Kanus chipping it away on behalf of the ideology-led coalition led by the CPIML, the Dalits, the Mahadalits. So that's the area, the regional map. This time around, the BJP's tried to breach it. Let's see how far they can go in terms of breaching what is the CPIML stronghold.
Rajdeep, if I could quickly come in, the Mahagathbandhan may have talked about trying to breach it and moving forward, but are they getting the VIP votes in their favor? Look at their friendly fights that are happening. The so-called friendly fights, they're happening with the VIP, which is seen as an alliance partner.
Has he given a separate Malla?
Look at Gaurapuram, look at Chainpur, look at Baldur.
What is the Malla vote percent?
46%
of
is
Malla
going
vote?
to of Malla vote going to NDA.
Correct.
40% going to MGB.
So they've taken it, Rajdeep. That means if 40% has gone to the Mahagathbandhan, that clearly suggests that the vote has split, which had en masse in 2020. Nearly all of it had gone to the NDA. It has split and it has gone to the MGB.
Can I just ask you though, Preeti, you traveled through some of the Malla areas. Now, these are fishermen in large parts of Bihar along the Ganga. The fact is they're about 3-4%. No one has an exact number of the total number across, but they are in almost every constituency in a large belt, in Mithilanchal, in Tirhut, in large parts. I want to understand, the MGB announced Mukesh Saini as their deputy chief minister. Despite that, they've not got a majority. The point is, the MGB was obviously hoping that they would sweep this Malla vote by putting up a deputy chief minister.
Rajdeep,
that has not happened.
No, I've travelled the entire length of the riverine belt where, the population of Mallas is a lot. The VIP actually only has influence in the upper north area, Madhubani, Darbhanga. This is where the VIP actually holds. You go down to Gaya, if you meet a Malla, he doesn't even know who Mukesh Sahani actually is. So that there is a difference. The Mahagathbandhan was hoping to break that 3 to 4% vote and pull in a segment to it. That, if I'm going to look at these numbers, if 40% of the Malla vote has actually gone to the MGB, then the MGB has done its job in terms of fracturing the Malla vote.
But I'll give you an interesting story that a Congress leader who was working in one of those areas told me. He said, "Abhi bhi un area mein logo ko lagta hai ki VIP tir ke saath hai." So breaking that is not easy. The symbol association has remained in a way with Nitish Kumar. I want to understand that this EBC vote, Sajjan Kumar, very quickly, because many believe that we look at Nitish Kumar and yes, Mahila first leader, brought in prohibition, brought in reservations in local bodies, brought in cycles for girls, but he has consciously cultivated the EBCs who felt left out of Lalu Prasad's social justice revolution. Explain to us the importance of the EBC factor.
Look, in Bihar, EBCs has been
extremely backward caste for viewers.
Has been constituted. So there has been a subcategory within the OBCs since 1978 when Karpuri Thakur came, and he carefully nurtured and ensured that the leadership of backward caste should not go into the hands of the dominant OBCs, which came in 1990 with Lalu Prasad Yadav for the first time into the hands of the Yadavs, and thereafter they felt left out because overwhelmingly it catered to the Yadavs. So when Nitish came into power, he carefully nurtured EBCs by schemes and by ensuring that the women, by the law and order plank and by welfare schemes, they are given priority. So Shasan and Rashan both were the plank which nurtured them as a formidable constituency, and they came together. And that is why still you see in their everyday experience, what they see that which leadership is providing them a sort of assurance in terms of welfare schemes as well as in terms of a better perception of law and order. And on these both planks, he remains the trusted leader.
You know, I just want a quick point from Javed Ansari, because this has been a problem that the Mahagathbandhan has faced, the fear of Jungle Raj. And EBCs in particular have felt that if Lalu Prasad's son comes back, Yadav Raj comes back. And that has, in a way, these EBCs voted for Lalu Prasad, 1990, 1995. They are the ones who've drifted away. Do you sense that Lalu Prasad still haunts Tejasvi in some way in the Mahagathbandhan if these numbers hold?
Yes, and I think Tejasvi has failed in emulating the kind of, in broadening his tent and emulating Akhilesh. Akhilesh also suffered. Samajwadi Party also carries this baggage of over-Yadavization. But there he spread the tent in the last Lok Sabha elections. Through PDA, he brought in other backward castes. Tejasvi has not been able to do it to the extent they ought to have done. And because they failed to chip away enough and more of EBC and Mahadalits, and therein lies the reason for the performance.
You know, it's interesting because Tejasvi gave 51 seats to Yadavs, 19 to Muslims, 18 to Muslims. So 69 out of his 140 odd are Muslims and Yadavs. He tried to give EBCs and Kushwas in particular, hoping that he could attract them. But it is not easy to build that kind of coalition. Yes.
There was an infighting going on within the RJD and the VIP, within the RJD and the Congress, within the RJD and the IP Gupta's party. So when all of this is happening, how will you bring in caste? So much so, Mukesh Sahni's brother, Santosh Sahni, had to step down for an RJD candidate. One seat, Gaurav Boram. Look at Chainpur, Brij Kishore Bind in RJD versus Govind Bind of the VIP. And instead of taking on the JDU, they're taking on each other. There's another example in Beldur, where the Nishad party, Mithilesh Kumar Nishad versus the IIP candidate instead of taking on the JDU. So look at this infighting.
There are more numbers coming.
Yes.
We want to focus today on numbers. One of those numbers is the Yuva vote. Maria, I want to first you to explain before we go to the Axis My India votes on age composition, why the youth vote. We keep mentioning Mahila and we did it at the outset. What is the youth factor in Bihar?
Yes. So we have been talking about the Mahila factor. They have tilted the balance of power in favor of Nitish Kumar in 2020, clearly giving a decisive edge to the NDA. Now, what is the youth factor that is being discussed in the context of 2025 Bihar? Just look at these numbers here. In all, the total number of registered voters in Bihar stands at 7.43 crores, of which the young voters, which is male and female, in the age group of 18 to 30 is 1.63 crore, which is 22% of the total electorate. And again, the first-time voters, again, a very important category, is 14.1 lakh voters. This becomes important because Bihar has been, it is the state which is the youngest in terms of its demographic, but also has several complexities. And is the youth now despondent, frustrated with the current regime is the big question. Now let's give you a sense of how this Yuva, or the youth of Bihar, voted in 2020 polls. Look at this number. Again, in this age bracket of 18 to 29, they voted significantly for the NDA. The gap between the NDA and the Mahagathbandhan in 2020 was 4%. I'll be asking the producer to put that on our television screens. In 2020, that age gap between, in that group of 18 to 29, Mahagathbandhan got 37% of votes, NDA getting 41%. When we look at, again, this young men and young women, NDA and Mahagathbandhan almost getting the same numbers. In fact, Mahagathbandhan got 39%, NDA got 38%. What about now? Okay. Rajdeep, over to you.
That's interesting because the Axis My India poll is saying the following, and listen to these numbers carefully. In their age-wise vote share, they are giving in the age group 20 to 29, many of them first-time voters, and 22% of Bihar is this, 37% to NDA, but 44% to the Mahagathbandhan. So the Mahagathbandhan actually has a 7% lead. You know, there has bin so much talk of the youth factor, but a 7%. So if the Mahagathbandhan is still in the race, as per Axis My India, it's the youth which is propelling Tejasvi Yadav forward. And Jan Suraj, which many people, the new party of Prashant Kishore, is just getting 6%. Now, if you go on the other hand to those who are over 60 to 69 age, here there is a 10% gap in favor of the NDA. 49%, 39%. Remember, pensions were increased to 1100 rupees just before the election. Go over 70, the age group over 70, the gap is 16%. 51% to NDA and only 35% to Mahagathbandhan. What's the story? Those who have experienced Lalu Raj or have been there in the Lalu years seem reluctant to vote for possibly the Mahagathbandhan. Newer voters who are born after in the 2000s are willing to experiment with the Tejasvi. Would I be right, Rajat Sethi? The younger you are in Bihar at the moment, the more you are willing to experiment with a non-NDA arrangement.
Largely, this is an NDA problem, and this is a pan-India problem. This also reflected in 2024, and we discussed this, that it is this young voter which hasn't experienced the UPA days, hasn't experienced the Lalu days. If you pick Madhya Pradesh, they haven't experienced Digvijay's days or years. So this segment of new voters who just don't know what a Congress rule looks like or what a Lalu rule looks like, they are toying with the idea because there is a degree of lack of jobs in the state, and they want, and they are the fatigue factor results into maximum actionable events only in this segment. So I believe they have come out in the
why
hope
have they
that
not?
they can
You see, the interesting thing is, why have they not gone for Prashant Kishore? Prashant Kishore was banking on this youth factor as per the Axis My India poll. And remember, I want to put this caveat. When you're a new party, it is often that you get underpolled in exit polls because you may not have any past parameters to go by. Why have they not gone for Prashant Kishore? Why have they chosen a Tejasvi between 20 and 29?
There are certain funds, and I have been following Prashant's journey over the past couple of years. I believe that he made a couple of basic errors. One was not contesting the election. True. Not contesting the election in a place which respects sacrifice. You know, you going out, contesting, fighting it out, doing a Kejriwal kind of a thing. I mean, wins and losses are a small thing when you're trying to be that challenger. If you're not being seen in that frame, that you can go out and challenge, there are going to be repercussions. You will not leave the campaign up to a crescendo. You need to build up the narrative and take it to a level.
Go ahead. Yes, strong objection, go ahead.
Number one, youth voters should be about 29%. At 22, we are saying the SIR has left out the youth. How or why, I don't know.
No, our figures show 22% of Bihar is between the age of 18 and 29, okay, the highest in the country.
Okay, fine. So,
now, out of that, at the moment, Tejasvi Yadav and the Mahagathbandhan have a 7% lead.
Okay, so let me just tell you one thing, that if Prashant Kishore has not been standing with the youth, he has not understood the basics of Bihari politics. Since anti-Congress politics has started in Bihar in the 1990s, it has been Sushil Modi, it has been Lalu Prasad Yadav, it has been Nitish Kumar, who were all youth politicians from Patna University. That has shifted. The poorer generation that has gone to schools under Nitish now goes for coaching centers in Musallapur Hat, right across Patna University. The fact is that in Musallapur Hat, the Kurmis, Kushwahas, Yadavs, there is a slugfest amongst OBC children. Who is out of that? Prashant Kishore and the Congress party not there. One second, let me just complete this point. I would say in Gandhi Maidan, where I heard Jayaprakash and Karpuri, 5 a.m. in the morning, you see barefoot young people running for Bharti. And therefore, I believe that the primary demand of the youth in Bihar today is Bharti and jobs.
So, go ahead. Yes, Javed.
And it is not an Indian process.
So, 1 minute. So, Prashant, 1 minute. Prashant Kishore is also appealing to the youth that I will bring you jobs. Enough. You've tried up Lalu, you've tried Nitish, but he's not, as per this poll, gathering the traction even among that youth demographic. Yeah. That's my question.
Yeah, because he's not seen as a serious contender. Because he's a first-timer. He's still not seen, while there is no doubt that he's the only one who's laid down a futuristic roadmap. The others haven't. But just to dismiss this is because they haven't suffered under Congress and UPA, and therefore they are going. That's not true. It's because there are not enough jobs and they are frustrated with the present dispensation.
But Maria, are you surprised?
This is exactly anti-incumbency.
Yeah, but
you need to build it up. My problem is that could this have been a pan-age group sort of a
why was it
phenomena?
not?
Why did it not happen for a pan-age group phenomena? It is
But
the only...
juxtapose these numbers.
Yes.
Juxtapose these numbers on the youth vote in 2020. It practically mirrors the same divide. So what happened in terms of what the youth voted in the age group of 20 to 29%, where you have, I think, 37% NDA, 44, so about 8% difference between NDA and the Mahagathbandhan in the youth.
My sense is very clear.
Practically
Those
mirrors
who have
2020.
memories of what happened in the Lalu years of 1990s are reluctant to turn the clock back.
Yes,
Do you agree with that?
Yes, this is an
you
election.
grew up in that era.
This is an election of memories, as we have been saying. Good memories of Nitish Kumar, as there is a sense of gratitude, even among people who have seen his era and those children who have heard it from their parents. So when we say that this is a generation willing to experiment, let's also not forget that they may be also outside Bihar. They have seen certain things. They are willing to experiment on those lines. But Rajdeep, you know, one thing is clear, that I have met in Jahanabad someone who was from the Bhumiyar community, was working in Maharashtra, who said that I would rather go with a Tejasvi who's promising 2.5 crore vote.
You know, I just want to put very...
just 30 seconds.
Axis My India poll.
Yes.
Unemployed. They've gone to occupation. Unemployed, 34% NDA, 49% Mahagathbandhan. If you don't have a job today in Bihar, you have looked in this election to Tejasvi Yadav as an alternative. Now we can diss the fact that how will he provide 2.79 crore job because he said one job per household.
Jan Suraj,
But
Rajdeep?
The Jan Suraj is just 6%.
Even in unemployment?
Even in unemployment among students. 33% NDA, 48% Mahagathbandhan. Then as you go higher, the real gap starts. If you are self-occupied or if you are a housewife, 48% are saying NDA, 37% are saying Mahagathbandhan. So law and order there becomes an important issue, and there the
Mahila
memories
vote.
come of the past.
So
again,
That's the
if you
woman
say
vote.
self-employed, 49% NDA, 36% Mahagathbandhan. So the challenge really was that there was anti-incumbency. But how do I build on anti-incumbency if this exit poll is right? Has been a challenge for the Mahagathbandhan. And if these numbers are right, they have not yet been able to build on it. Even among farmers, it's virtually a dead heat. But it is really among the unemployed for one side versus those who have occupations or housewives on the other. Yes, now Gaurav.
You know, the only point I wanted to make was in the Seemanchal belt, where it was believed that MGB will do extremely well and they may still do well. The youth parents said they're missing, they're outside, they've gone out looking for a job because there are no jobs in Bihar. So would they be voting? Point one. Point two, the other point they were raising was, yes, there is delivery of Nitish Kumar versus promise of Tejasvi Yadav. Will Tejasvi Yadav deliver those one government job per family, and how will he deliver that 30,000 per month? That was the question they were asking.
Okay, there are interesting also numbers coming in the Axis My India poll on geography. Rural areas, NDA 43%, Mahagathbandhan 41%. Urban areas 44%, Mahagathbandhan 42%. The Jan Suraj 5% rural, 4% urban. So the Jan Suraj, in a way, Sajjan, could it be undercounted? I'm looking at the caveats. Let's be honest, exit polls are not the final result. When I look at these numbers, if this Jan Suraj goes from 5 and 4% to 8-9%, not even double digit, does it change the election? Because in rural and urban, the gap is just 2%. I know it's significant. It's significant. 2% is significant. But there's also the possible underpolling of the Jan Suraj. Could that be a caveat?
If it goes, Rajdeep, then certainly. But what we also see, one of the trend that voters may like you and that we got, but if you do not see your candidate as winnable ones in the constituency, they would vote to someone else rather than you.
ये है बिहारी wisdom कि हम उसी को वोट देंगे जो चुनाव जीतेगा.
Exactly. So that is why I do not think it's underreported.
Rajdeep, I believe that Prashant Kishore's real surprise is that he could do well in pockets in rural areas. It came to me as a complete surprise because I was looking at it as an urban party. In Chhapra, as you know, I have seen them do very well in Garkha, in Parsa. I have seen them do well in Madhara. I don't know what the overall impact of all this will be, but I didn't know that he had struck a chord in rural
By-polls,
areas.
Rajdeep, 11%. Jan Swaraj took in by-polls 11% vote. If we are looking at a 4%, I think the general traditional psephology in the last couple of days has suggested that if Prashant Kishore's Jan Swaraj polls about 9%, then it cuts into MGB's vote. If it crosses 11%, then we are looking at cutting into the NDA's vote share. At 4%, has he been underpolled is a question that needs to be answered. Or
Okay.
When
asked.
we look at the gender-wise, Rajdeep,
Yes,
that
go
has
ahead.
also come.
Yeah, come on. Go ahead, Maria.
Yes, so when we look at the gender-wise number which has come out
Okay,
now,
meanwhile,
Yes, please.
while you come into that, just a bit of breaking news. The Cabinet Committee on Security has begun its meeting at the moment after the Red Fort blast. The probe intensifies. Remember, more people have been picked up. Gaurav, you want to quickly tell us the importance of the CCA? The Prime Minister has come back now from Bhutan. Presumably, they will want this investigation to reach a logical conclusion before any action is taken. This is not, therefore, Pahalgam in that sense. Am I correct?
No, it isn't. You're absolutely right. This isn't a Pahalgam at all, prima facie, because in Pahalgam you had Pakistani terrorists who had singled out Hindus and killed them. In this case, these are Indian Muslim, in most cases these are doctors and other professionals who were involved in this terror plot. A large number have been detained, but there are some who are there, including a very disturbing fact that there's a car with explosives which is still missing, Rajdeep. So catching that car before the next blast is the biggest task right now.
Maria, give us those big numbers, because I think the election is still, this has been my belief from day one in Bihar. If the Axis My India poll is right, what we are about to, what Maria is about to tell you could be critical. The gender-wise division of votes that's taking place in Bihar. Maria, give us the numbers.
So NDA, according to Pradeep Gupta's Axis My India, is getting 45% of the female voters and 41% of the male voters. But in comparison to the Mahagathbandhan, he's projecting that 40% female are going towards Mahagathbandhan. There is a gap between the Mahagathbandhan and the NDA is at 5%. And among the male voters, Mahagathbandhan is getting 1% more. But when we look at Jan Swaraj, and I think that becomes important again because Prashant Kishore's popularity among women is less. It's only 3%, perhaps more among the female. But Rajdeep, in comparison to 2020, this is not much of a swing.
Right.
Yeah,
But
it's not much of a swing.
Let me just repeat what...
That's surprising.
No, so let
There's
me
not
just...
much of a swing.
Let me just repeat this, right? Because I think this is significant. NDA is getting, just a minute, 41% male vote is going to the NDA, 41%, 42% Mahagathbandhan, the Jan Swaraj 5, others 12. This is as per Axis My India, a 1% edge to the Mahagathbandhan. As we pointed out at the outset, Preeti had pointed out how there was a gap, even in absolute numbers, between male and women voters. About 4.5 lakh women across Bihar have voted more than men. That's why the women vote becomes crucial. What is the women vote showing? 45% women, as per the Axis My India poll, are voting for the NDA. 40% for the Mahagathbandhan. That's a 5% gap.
4%, Rajdeep. 41%, 45%.
No, please. 45 plays 40. 45 and 40. Male is 41,
Male is 41 and 42,
5% gap between party alliance number one. That's huge. Because that could be making the difference, particularly when there's been a large voter turnout.
But Rajdeep,
Preeti, are you surprised with this? Or is this what you saw on the ground?
No, Rajdeep, you did see. See, the fact is the core constituency of Nitish Kumar is women. You know, you go across Bihar, many see this as the 10,000 rupee scheme that many talk about as a top-up.
No,
I'll
so
tell you what
just a
surprises
minute.
me.
Was it the 10,000 rupees that was being attractive, or was it the fact that Nitish Kumar over the last 20 years has cultivated
Robbie, Rajdeep, it's an image that is cultivated over years. It starts off with the cycle, then it starts off metric ke baad itna, inter ke baad itna paisa milega. You know, it's a image cultivated over years. But I'll tell you what I'm surprised with in these numbers. I would have expected the difference to be more. If 10,000 rupees was a factor, this mirrors what 2020 was.
And can I just add,
yes, very quickly,
there is another fact called the Yuva Varg within Mahila. And I've been time and again saying, I have gone and interviewed girls who were on cycles in the last election, but are going to what are called inter-colleges in and around Jahanabad, where the NDA is doing quite well. And the girl said, आरक्षण नहीं, सुरक्षा चाहिए. हमारे थाना में महिला पुलिस कर्मी लगाओ, ताकि हम सुरक्षा से कॉलेज जा सकें.
Who were they voting for?
The MGB.
The MGB. So
Yes,
there's a section of young. So there are two broad divisions. One is
Yes.
age-wise
Yes.
and one is gender. The problem for the Mahagathbandhan at the moment seems to be these numbers is that the gender-wise division is much greater in terms of absolute numbers.
Because
Look,
I'm surprised.
This shows
I
caste
was
has,
expecting.
Rajdeep,
what we
this
know is
figure
that-
shows caste has played a
look,
factor
we
as
know
well.
caste identities are firm, but despite those firm identities, there is a greater propensity of women to rise above caste identities
Yeah,
if this poll is right. Am I correct, Sanjay?
Precisely because women are more scheme-centric compared to the males.
Maria, are you surprised to see only did you expect an even higher gap among women?
Yes.
I also pointed out, and we'll put out that graphic. Remember last time, wherever women outpolled men, the NDA won almost more than 60% of those seats. This woman vote seems to have stayed with Nitish Kumar consistently now over 15 to 20 years. He comes from a community, caste, since caste is being mentioned, which is just 2.5 to 3%, and yet is able to pull in 15-16% vote consistently. Does the woman have a emotional attachment? Is it, as you once told me, that they see this as a farewell gift for Nitish Kumar?
Absolutely. I would say gratitude. Women tend to have more gratitude, and that's why this is what is reflecting. But Rajdeep, I
Women
would...
tend to have more gratitude?
Yes, and
That's very unfair, but we'll go ahead. Okay.
But this 5% that I'm seeing is perhaps less than what we were sensing on ground.
100%.
We were sensing just about almost like women consolidating behind Nitish Kumar, something like 2010 kind of consolidation and surge among the women. That's not reflecting in these numbers at the moment. But yes, as we have been saying, in 2020, the elections shifted only when the women outnumbered men. They started voting in more numbers. And as the elections moved, it was almost in the third and the second phase, it was close to 6 to 7%. That's not reflecting in these numbers right now.
So is this the 10 Hazaria election or not?
Not
I mean,
really.
had you not given the 10,000 rupees, the gap might have been even lower.
No, but Rajdeep,
That was the way the NDA countered
but
anti-incumbency.
there are infinite counterfactuals we can debate to no end, right? There is no point doing that. 10 Hazari was there, is there, will be there. Now look at
I'm
what
asking you this, Rajat. You mentioned at the outset there is anti-incumbency. Do you believe the BJP in particular sensed it and that's why decided
100%.
1 month before the election we have to give this 10,000, it's not going to work otherwise?
See, 10,000 is such a big amount कि घर में बेटी की तिलक हो जाता है 10,000 में 10,000 में तिलक भी हो जाता है नहीं मैम तिलक हो जाता है इतना बड़ा अमाउंट है छोटा पैसा नहीं है अरे allow me to finish मैम
All the women have said सिलेंडर का दाम इतना 10,000 रुपए में कोचिंग में बच्चे का महीना भी नहीं निकलता
उतना भी नहीं दे रहे हैं ना तो तेजस्वी what is तेजस्वी doing then?
नीतीश कुमार
See, my point is
तिलक होता है 10,000 लाख रुपया कॉस्ट है
But no, ma'am.
कास्ट
नहीं,
वाइज तिलक का दाम
ये कमाल है, ऐसा भी नहीं है, ऐसा भी नहीं है।
generating.
One by one.
That 10,000 rupees was about income generation. They
Yes.
bought goats. I saw women setting up
Sure.
melas because of 10,000
Anda
rupees.
chowmein.
Okay, let Rajat complete. Rajat, quickly complete.
My limited point, Maria, is 5% is also not a natural gap. It's quite a big gap. You look at any historical election, right from Jayalalitha's
similar
time
to last
or
time.
any other time. See, this is what constituency he has developed and condensed over time. This is an ossification of a vote base which doesn't change.
I just want to say the CSDS post-poll survey of 2020 had only given a 1% lead among women to the NDA over the Mahagathbandhan.
Yeah.
So there is a shift.
So all I'm saying, this is a significant 5%. Don't belittle 5%. It has the potential to sweep the election.
To my mind, this is the key factor. If the Axis My India poll is right, 45% women have voted for one side versus 40 on the other. It is game, set, and almost match. That's
Youth
the way
as
I
well.
see it. We'll win. The youth will, of course, be a counterbalance. If the youth also went the same way, it would be a landslide. So because the youth have not voted one way, it's a tighter fight. But we're getting one more very interesting data point. Who would you like to see as the next Chief Minister of Bihar? Now take a look at this. 22% are saying Nitish Kumar, 5% Chirag Paswan, Samrat Chaudhary of the BJP 2, and any candidate from BJP 14. That's interesting, any candidate from BJP. So 36, 41, 43%, which roughly is parallels. What has the BJP got? Tejasvi Yadav, 34%. So Tejasvi Yadav, the individual, is 12% ahead of Nitish Kumar. In this direct question, who would you like to see as next Chief Minister? Lalu Prasad, 2%. Lalu still has his admirers. Any candidate from Congress, 3%, and we'll come to the Congress in a moment. Any candidate from RJD, 2%. Prashant Kishore, 4%, despite the fact that he's tried to make it presidential. Are you surprised, Javed Ansari, that here you've got someone in Tejasvi? He's got a popularity of his own. It is there, but it is clearly not enough to actually make it presidential. Ki main keval Tejasvi ke naam pe vote दूंगा, that's not happening.
Yeah, because I guess it proves that they lack the organizational heft, the organizational wherewithal.
Is it that, or they don't have, as you said, that umbrella caste coalition?
And his inability to broaden the bouquet, to bring in other castes.
So why do you think that Akhilesh, you seem to suggest, has been a little bit more successful than Tejasvi? Is that what you believe?
Yes, I believe, because the last Lok Sabha election showed that in UP. Look at the results. He was wiped out in the assembly elections, and then they've done much better in the Lok Sabha election.
But Tejasvi has also tried to give other castes
tried
votes.
to, but didn't do
it
enough.
didn't come
And
from-
you suddenly wake up on the eve of elections and you bring this kind of thing. You have to work at it.
Okay.
You have to
And
work at it
2024,
from a-
Rajdeep, was the
That's one by one. Yes, Preeti.
2024 in Uttar Pradesh, with what we are looking at as a benchmark of Akhilesh Yadav, was the perfect storm in terms of fault lines within fault lines where caste was concerned. Akhilesh was very good in terms of how he distributed tickets, number one. Number two, there were enough fissures where the Rajput community was concerned, which is usually seen right behind the NDA. Those differences are not seen on ground as much in Bihar that we witnessed in Uttar Pradesh.
But you know, if I add the numbers of Samrat Chaudhary and any candidate of BJP, it's 16%. Nitish is still higher than anyone that the
43 is to NDA and 41 is to...
It's similar
Yes,
to...
but I'm saying that Nitish Kumar still scores over any BJP candidate. So the BJP has also not been able to throw any face other than Nitish. Am I clear, therefore?
Precisely, because the state BJP leadership is way smaller in stature compared to Nitish Kumar.
Even
right?
a ailing Nitish Kumar.
Precisely, post Sushil Kumar, Modi's era, Bihar BJP doesn't have a leader who can appeal to pan-Bihar electorates. So Nitish, despite being past his prime, still stands out compared to any other Bihar BJP leadership.
And you know, Rajdeep, on
Anywhere
ground,
on the radar.
just 1 minute, on ground, while you have Nitish and BJP complementing each other and moving forward, and the entire umbrella working together, as far as Mahagathbandhan is concerned, it's Tejasvi Yadav, backed by who? His 34% are the Muslims and the Yadavs.
Gaurav, but on ground,
is the Congress,
but
is
on
the
ground,
Congress,
you do witness friction between the LJP and the JDU cadre.
You know,
I'm just saying it's there, it cuts both ways. It's in both camps.
The numbers that we are seeing, is the Congress taking RJD ahead with it, or is the Congress actually pulling the RJD
It's a
down?
weekly.
It's the question.
We'll come to that in a moment, which alliance is working better on the ground, because remember, there's been a reluctance on the part of the BJP also to officially anoint Nitish Kumar this time as their chief ministerial candidate. Why is a question we'll ask. But when we return, the Axis My India region by region poll numbers. Who is winning Bihar and by what margin as per the Axis My India poll? When we return, we are going region by region. 6 regions of Bihar that we've taken. We'll tell you who's winning in which region. It could be one state, 6 elections. Back in a moment.
Our election intelligence dashboard, and mind you, over the course of the next 3 days, you're going to see so much data analytics coming up and popping up on this screen, and what all is possible is just amazing. But take a look at all the phases, that two-phase election that happened in terms of turnout. I want to quickly look at the numbers there. Right from 2010, you can see that steady rise in turnout. 2025, it was a whopping 67%. You go a little deeper in terms of the micro data. Second phase has voted more than the first phase. But what many say, the vote of Bihar hinges on and is the Mahila vote, the woman vote. So let's quickly look at the gender breakup this election, and you see it right there on your television screen. It's a whopping difference of 9%. Where it comes down to between, you can see the blue, you know, we've gone to the traditional stereotypes of markers, so blue is male, the pink is female. But if you see it right from 2010, constantly increasing, the women pulling away. The last time around, it was a 6% difference, 2020, and many say women were undercounted, and therefore the anomalies, Rajdeep, that we had seen in many exit poll data. But this time around, look at the figure there, Rajdeep, a 9% difference between the women and the men voting percentage.